It has been way too long since I did a proper iPad video. And now that iPadOS 26 is finally here for all, it's time to catch up on what really matters, including a few features that might just make you wonder how you ever did without them. Today, I'm going to give you a quick guide then to the latest iPadOS features and some essential Apple Pencil tricks and tips that many of you missed, because this thing is brilliant when you realize what else is built into this thing, and a couple of Apple Intelligence updates as well that are actually good and hidden away on the iPad. Right, I'm going to try and demo these with a top down, so grab yourself a coffee, we'll do it live, and yeah, let's see how we go. So let me show you what's actually new with the iPadOS 26. These are the system-wide changes that you're going to notice immediately. First of all, I've got to say it's liquid glass. So as you see when I open this up, there's this kind of strange thing it's doing where it's popping up with the sign-in, and you can see with the Pencil Pro, as you hover over the buttons, you'll see that happening, and you know, it's quite nice. And if we move this around, you might also see the kind of shiny line around the outside of the lozenges, has a little kind of twinkly effect. I'm not a massive fan of it, but yeah, pretty cool. If we jump into Safari and look at my website, if we open it up, you can see that the website is transparent behind it, slightly different quality to it. And then we've got these kind of menu views now within Safari. So this is a new kind of layout feature that are kind of a little bit transparent behind it, sidebars, all of that. It's kind of nice. But probably the biggest change to iPadOS 26 is the new windowing apps feature. So if I click windowed apps on here and now we say open Notion up, you'll see that I can configure this to different sizes. You can move it around, and then if you put it right down into the corner, it can fill. Sometimes you have to kind of tweak it up to the corner. It can fill the whole page as you would expect. But what's really exciting about this is you can now really quickly start to add other apps into the mix and tile across your system. I think you could argue that with this windowing system, Stage Manager is significantly better. It's now actually usable, and you can overlap windows on top of each other and minimize things as you want and create proper workspaces. It finally feels like a real desktop experience, particularly when you plug this thing in to an external monitor. You need an M1 chip or above, I believe, to do that, but it's really fantastic. And this is going to allow non-power user Mac users, if that makes sense, to consider iPad as their only device if they only do the basics. It can be a great choice. It's the age-old argument, right? Let me know where you stand in the comments on using an iPad as your only device, but has this and iPadOS 26 changed that for you? Next up, folders in the dock. If we go into our Files app here and take one of my folders like this, we can drag it down and drop it into the dock. This is going to allow you then to look into your folders just like you might have done on your Mac. And I absolutely love this. What a quality of life change. Look at that. So much easier to use. I can jump straight to my projects and it pops up in the view that I want to see it in. This is making this process so much easier to use. And I love that we have all of this kind of, you know, these menus here. Makes such a difference. Really good. Next up, we now have Preview that's finally come to iPad. It means we can get information about our files, we can share things from there, we can edit and crop and draw on the item in Preview. But even better, if I click this back button, you'll then see we've got the option to add new documents and even scan documents into the iPad. So I can lift this up, take a quick picture, and that can be a scan. Cool. Anyway, that's Preview. Really cool to see it. If you work with documents, this is a game changer. No more jumping between apps. Next, I showed you a bit of this earlier, but we've got the Control Center redesign. Control Center is getting a new group of controls. If you hover over this top corner, you can see I can click on it. I'm already using it to screen record, but if we hold down on this, you now have the ability to adjust the size of icons and scale them up so that you can move them around into different spaces. For example, I could set up my batteries to open larger and see more information on it, and you can add more controls within it. I think it looks much cleaner. And what's also nice is if I hold down on this and click add control, we've then got a control gallery, which allows us to add and manage everything in one place. You can customize the layout, resize controls, and even add app specific controls from this gallery into the system. So that is so much more powerful than before. For example, maybe I'm just going to drop in my alarm clock like that. Nice little animations that go with it. You can now lock sensitive apps and hide them completely. For example, if I wanted to lock my email, I can click on here and click require Face ID, and then it will mean that to open that app, I have to use my face to look at it. No more people quickly jumping and looking at your email or whatever else. And hidden apps go to the locked folder. The info inside won't appear in the notifications or search either. So that is the interface sorted, but those features mean nothing if you're missing the essential Apple Pencil tricks coming up next. Right, before we dive into those Apple Pencil tips that many of us miss, let's address the biggest complaint about using Apple Pencil. It still feels like plastic on glass, not pencil on paper. And that's why so many iPad users like me still use Paperlike. I've just used it since I got my first iPad, so partnering with them for this newest release, Paperlike 3, was a really easy decision. What it is about Paperlike is the tactile feedback completely transforms the iPad experience. Trust me, once you use it, you immediately notice it, and it gives this ideal friction, consistent tactile resistance, and sensory feedback. Now, Paperlike uses what they call microbead nano dot technology. It basically gives a genuine paper-like resistance. And what separates it from cheaper alternatives, I think, is that it doesn't sacrifice screen quality. The nano dots let light right through, so your display remains crisp. So you protect your screen, the Apple Pencil tip, and eliminate glare and fingerprints, and keep all of that sensitivity and precision that you expect from Apple Pencil. Now, of course, installation matters with a screen this big, and I was really happy to see this new system that they've released with Paperlike 3. This butterfly application thing is cool, and I absolutely love how you can follow the video through on the iPad and it literally guides you and gives you a background to the process. It's so clever. So you're getting stress-free, dust-free application to eliminate any of those bubbles. It's really good, and I actually had a lovely time. They even play nice jazz music while you push the bubbles off it. It's fantastic. So clearer instructions and the cleanest installation I've managed yet. It's probably still the best value upgrade you can make to your iPad. Swiss engineering, 100-day money-back guarantee, all of that. So grab yours via my affiliate link below for the best deal. It's win-win for all of us. And if you're serious about your Apple Pencil, you need this surface on it. So with that out of the way, let's get on with using it and my rapid fire top Apple Pencil features and tips that will level up your workflow. Lock screen notes. Watch this. If I double tap with the Apple Pencil, it just immediately opens notes, and you've got quick note capture. No unlocking, no friction. It's really nice. So if you go from here to settings and scroll down to Apple Pencil, you'll see you've got options in here to turn on and off scribble, and also set where you do your quick notes. You can have a bottom right corner for quick notes, for example, and you've also got bottom left corner where you could, for example, set a screenshot. So you can just swipe up from the bottom left and take a screenshot, which is pretty cool. And you'll see in settings, we actually have a bunch of other very useful little bits of information. Whether or not you want to have a shadow turn up from your pencil, I think that's really nice. Tool previews, hover, all of that. I just turn everything on because it's all really good. But you might want to consider where you use double tap by double tapping this, or what you do with the squeeze function. I personally really like the tool palette, but you could consider it to even just use it as a quick shortcut if there's certain things you want to do. So lots of customizing can be done in the settings. And as a quick example of that screenshot, if you just swipe up from the right, you get a screenshot, and you're able to also then annotate on it as well, and whatever you want to do. So that's pretty cool. Now, the other thing you can do is scribble absolutely everywhere. If we go back into settings, I can quickly use this to demo scribble. And what's great is that you can write something anywhere. For example, if I write hello, it will drop it in. You can also delete things by scratching out a word. You can select things by drawing a line or circling the word and doing things like cut and paste. You can also insert things by putting a little line in. So for example, up and down will reduce and add to it. And you can also join things or separate them using that. So pretty cool. For example, if we go into the Files app and click search, I could search for Apple, and it will find things related to Apple. Really nice. Or one of my favorite places to use this is in Safari or whatever web browser you're using. So in here, for example, I could search YouTube for better creating. Search, and you'll find me on YouTube. So pretty cool. So this is a really great feature. You can use it wherever you want, and I recommend it. And the great thing about Scribble is it then means you can navigate the iPad more easily without using a keyboard. So I can do things like swipe down and search for one of my apps like Notion. I just drop it in, and it's a really quick way to get to the app that you want to get to really quickly and easily. Weirdly though, Apple are not allowing me to select the controller using this, which I find a little bit annoying. So yeah, bit of feedback to Apple, allow us to be able to select the resizing button. Kind of makes sense, I guess, but you know. But what we can do is close the app, so that's not too bad. And while we're there, if you own the Apple Pencil Pro, you will have barrel roll and squeeze. So here you can see that shadow gesture I was talking about, probably. That's not a real shadow, that is an imaginary. And if you look closely, you can see a fountain pen in the shadow. It's like some sort of mystery ghost. It's pretty cool. But what we can do is squeeze to open up our views, find different things and navigate through them like this. I could find a crayon, for example, and if you touch and hold, you can change the size and the intensity of it using that. And that just, I think, makes for a really lovely quality of life situation. And if we select, for example, something that would have an angle, like a highlighter, you can see that using barrel roll, I can change the shape of the image. So, you know, worth considering. But the other thing about shapes on here, if we jump to my rubber for a moment and rub all this out, just really satisfying doing that. Shape recognition. Look at this. If I draw a circle, that's just a circle, and maybe we want to undo that. But if I draw a circle and hold, it keeps the shape. So as you can see, it will do a bunch of different things. Stars, straight lines, rectangles, and you really don't have to be that precise. It will even do arrows. Well, that wasn't a very good example. Curved lines. It's really quite impressive. So don't lift the pencil off immediately, pause briefly, and there you go. It snaps into the perfect image. And so if I double tap, it will jump to the color palette. Now you could use this to switch between tools, but I'm a big fan of using this to adjust colors nice and quickly. So it just gives you that ability to draw and shape what you're doing really easily. And yeah, giving you that is really nice. And don't forget, on color palette, you also have spectrum and sliders. So worth doing. And even this little device, which you can move around and find the color to then select it. Pretty cool. So that is your Apple Pencil tips that I recommend for you. But the real game changer is when you add some of the AI features that turn your handwriting into something else. Now, I've turned on Apple Notes because before you go, there are a couple of unassuming Apple Intelligence features that really improve how this Apple Pencil can be used. And as long as you've got an M1 iPad or later, or an iPad mini with A17 Pro, you'll be able to use these wonderful features. So the first one is Image Wand. So let's just draw myself a little tree and the sun. And we're gonna write sun and field. I'm going to find my image wand and we're going to circle all of that. You'll see now that it's got the drawing and, well, it's taken unfield, but we'll see. And there's our sun and field, and we get a couple of options to pick from. And then you can change the style to illustration rather than a sketch. Nice. Or maybe animation style. Love it. And we're going to start to build images like this. Now, I really like this, is like particularly illustration. You're able to kind of start to add things and create things into your image. And so maybe we'll add a tractor. And you'll see it will update the image. Pretty cool. I mean, this is a fun little thing. Maybe you are wanting to do quick, easy, fun presentations. Maybe you're creating quizzes. Maybe you just want to have a mess around, but it's a nice little touch and a great example of AI. And of course, within this, you've got all the other proofread and writing and composing things that come with it, and ChatGPT, if you want to use it. The interface is quite nice, so something to consider. Now, the next thing to consider is when you write. it will improve your handwriting. Let's just go, "Hi, I'm Simon." And what you can do is if you select your little extra option here, you can click on this and add auto refine handwriting. If we add that to it and we do that again, you'll see it's just adjusting the handwriting. This is messy. See, it's just making it a little bit clearer. It's worth trying it out, see what you make of it. It's a very interesting little addition to the system. You can also use this for kind of spell checking with your handwriting. So if I write indescribable, we can then see a little line comes up underneath it and we can check it to make it correct. Or if I write, for example, wonderful, it will clean it up. Pretty cool. Well, I'd say that's a pretty comprehensive breakdown of iPadOS 26, those new features and those Apple Pencil power-ups that matter this year. The question is, what might we get from the next iPad models this autumn? Let me know what you think in the comments, what you've heard, and what I've missed that we should be adding to this list of tips. So now that we've covered making the most of your iPad with these new features, there's still the question of the apps and accessories you might want to use with it. So I recommend watching this video for my top apps and this one down here for all the accessories you could possibly want. Don't buy all of them. Hit my face to subscribe if you haven't, paper likes link below, and I'll see you on the next one.